Hello, listeners. Hope you're all doing good. I'm Vishwanath from Winning Edge Talks podcast. I'm a sports mental conditioning coach, counselor, author, blogger, and podcaster. Last time, I had assured you that I'll be back with more stories in sports. Today, for this episode, I'm narrating to you some of the incidents of choking in sports, wherein some elite athletes suffered a mental meltdown. Before I begin, let me explain briefly what is choking and why this phenomenon occurs. Choking is a phenomenon that athletes, actors, speakers, singers, and other performers experience when performance fear and pressure affects them. It has happened to these performers when they least wanted it to. It's an important event and they were all well prepared for it. The performance begins and at some stage they freeze suddenly, unable to execute their skills. They are unable to perform a skill that they have perfected over a lifetime. They simply look like novices. This is the situation none want to be in. It's a spine-chilling moment. The person seems lost, not knowing what he or she is doing, as if caught unawares. The person freezes like a deer in the headlights. In this situation, the athletes can't think properly. They lose their situational awareness, they can't make the right decisions, and their bodies don't seem to listen to them. It is a situation that sends performance into a down spiral. Choking happens when the athletes are desperate for results and try to control the situation consciously instead of allowing it to happen on an autopilot. The event is very important to them. It can even be a career-defining moment and they want it bad. The problem is not wanting it something badly, but it's the problem of wanting too much. He or she feels pressurized by the situation and this pressure creates fear. Many elite athletes have choked under pressure when they were least expected to. While pressure is the main cause, fear is the underlying emotion behind choking. During the choking process, there is a disconnect between the mind and the body. The mind goes blank and you begin to focus inwards. You overthink and overanalyze with regard to the situation. Then the brain freezes, where the player does not know what he or she is doing. This is called paralysis by analysis. Sometimes when the athletes are in this situation where they are trailing behind and a loss or failure is staring at them in the face and they don't want to lose. This is when the brain goes into a turmoil. A contrasting situation is the one which every athlete desires to be in. It's the zone or the state of flow. In a state of flow, performers do not have conscious awareness during the execution. The activity happens by itself. They're very focused, relaxed, and activity is happening on an autopilot, the way you would desire. This is the state of flow or the zone. Flow has a positive effect on performance, whereas pressure and choking can have the opposite effect. The recent innings of Virat Kohli versus Pakistan in the ongoing T20 World Cup, in which he played a stellar role to steer India to victory and played some unbelievable shots towards the end, is an example for flow or zone. He said after the match, "I don't know what happened out there. It was so surreal." Let me bring to you some incidents of the past. My first story is the semi-final FIFA World Cup 2014 match between Brazil and Germany. Brazil lost to Germany 1-7. In other words, Germany beat Brazil 7 goals to 1. After the match, the press cried, "A catastrophe at the temple of football." Some wrote, "Death of a cherished dream." Disaster of disasters. Historic disgrace. The football crazy Brazilian fans went home crying. It was like a national mourning. Most people felt that the Brazilian team crumbled under the weight of expectations of millions of fans. They were obviously under a great deal of pressure. The pressure on the Brazilian side to win was enormous as the fans dreamt of seeing the home side win the World Cup for the record 6th time on home turf. The must-win situation had made them emotionally fragile, whereas the German side showed emotional restraint. Even moments after their splendid win, they looked calm and collected. But the Brazilian team froze when Germany bombarded them with one goal after another. In 10 minutes, they had blanked out. My next story is, why Serena? What happened? History was created on the 11th September 2015 at the semi-final of the US Open 2015. World number 43, Roberta Vinci of Italy, defeated world number 1 Serena Williams. This has been rated as one of the biggest upsets of tennis history. Serena has been chasing 2 world records in the year of 2015, both of them set by Steffi Graf, a career record of 22 major titles and all Grand Slams win in the same year. Serena would be the only woman since Steffi Graf who did it in 1988 to achieve the Grand Slam sweep in the same year. But that was not to be. Roberta Vinci defeated her in the semi-final 2-6, 6-4, 6-4 to enter a Grand Slam final for the first time in her career, thereby terminating Serena's dream. Though Vinci was the underdog with 300-1 odds to beat Serena, she did not buckle under pressure. She was prepared for it. Experts say Serena was obviously under pressure because this US Open was different from the rest of the Grand Slams as she was chasing 2 important records. That day, Serena committed too many unforced errors, served many double faults, and was not moving well on the court, the way she is known to. Whereas Roberta Vinci was everywhere, running all over the court. She was determined to do her best and was always focused on the process. The delighted Roberta Vinci told an ESPN broadcaster after the match that, "I simply wanted to put the ball back on the court. I kept telling myself, don't think that it is Serena on the other side. Run and play. When I woke up, I told myself, okay, I have semi-final today. Try to enjoy. Don't think of Serena. Play, enjoy." Vinci wanted to have fun playing against Serena, pretending she wasn't there, soaking up the pressure along the way. Looking at the match, it seemed Vinci wanted to win, but Serena was more desperate to win. Though she denied pressure affected her, it was there for everyone to see. Said her coach Patrick Morataglo after the match, "I think she lost her way mentally. Tactically, she didn't know what she had to do at a certain point. She desperately wanted to win this." I was a witness to this match on television. I saw that towards the 3rd set, Serena was unable to move to the ball that was passing very close to her. On any other day, Roberta Vinci would be no match to the prowess of Serena. But on this day, Serena was different. My next story is, Matthew, you choked. Matthew Syed, table tennis player, sports journalist, Olympian and Commonwealth gold medalist, and the author of Bounce, How Champions Are Made, writes in his book, he himself was a victim of pressure. That was during the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games. Matthew was the only British table tennis player who had qualified for the Games, and the British Olympic Association had done everything possible to see that his preparation was perfect. He attended camps in Belgium and Sweden. He had regular sessions with physiologists, psychologists, and nutritionists. Special arrangements were made for his practice in Australia, and 2 international players were flown for this purpose. For the opening match, his opponent was a German called Peter Franz, who had a much lesser ranking compared to him. As he entered the competition arena, he noticed a large group of British spectators waving the Union Jack. He knew there would be many back home rooting for his cause. He writes in his book, "This was the match I had saved for a career, a contest that would be life-transforming." The air was rife with expectations. This may have caused the pressure inside his head. As the play progressed, his movements were slow and sluggish, and the timing was missing. He found that he was playing like a beginner and not like a player who had played table tennis for more than 20 years. He began to try harder and yearned to win, this time more than on any occasion in his career. He lost the first game 21-8. Tactical advice and assurance from his coach were of no avail. His performance fell from ordinary to worse. He lost the second game 21-4 and the match. The result was catastrophic and unbelievable. After the match, his coach was brutally honest with his observation on the outcome of the match. He minced no words when he said, "Matthew, you choked." My next story is about former queen of women's tennis, Steffi Graf, and how she demoralized opponents. Steffi Graf has been rated as the best women player in the tennis history. She is the winner of 22 Grand Slam titles. She is the only player to win 4 Grand Slam titles and an Olympic gold in the same year. That was in 1988. She was the most formidable and dreaded opponent in the circuit. Her sheer presence was intimidating, even though she showed a pleasing demeanor on the court. It was not her fault if her opponents grew intimidated and demoralized. Perhaps it was to do with her abilities, her aura, and her achievements. This is what happened to Yana Novotná. The match was the Wimbledon's finals, 1993. Steffi Graf versus Yana Novotná. Yana Novotná was serving 40-30, 4-1 in the third set. Holding serve would have made it impossible for Steffi Graf to catch up with her. Yana Novotná was on the threshold of victory and the coveted Wimbledon title. And then it all happened. Novotná's dream came tumbling. She missed an easy volley and later served 3 consecutive double faults to allow Steffi Graf to come back. Steffi ultimately won the set 6-4 and the title. What a turnaround. What a golden opportunity missed. Then the 1988 French Open finals. Steffi Graf against Natasha Zvereva. Steffi Graf beat Zvereva 6-0, 6-0 in the match that lasted 32 minutes, which was the shortest final of a Grand Slam event at that time. Remind you, it was a French Open finals. The girl who was good enough to reach the finals of a French Open Grand Slam, surpassing many tough opponents, could not manage to take away even a single game of our formidable opponent. Many questions cross our minds. Was Steffi Graf that good that she did not give even a single game to her opponent? Or was Natasha Zvereva that bad that she could not take even a single game out of her? Was Natasha's entry to the final a fluke? None of these questions would be answered in the affirmative because they are not the probable answers. In the former case, Jana Novotná knew how important it was for her to defeat a player of the caliber of Steffi Graf in the finals to win the Wimbledon 1993 title. Even though the other three Grand Slams are highly rated, winning a Wimbledon title is considered very prestigious for any tennis player. That too, beating Steffi Graf. Jana Novotná was playing glorious tennis till it happened, and then her game slipped from grace to disgrace. Why? She must have been overexcited or over-aroused since it was her first Wimbledon title and she was leading 4-1. The match was within her grasp. She does not want to lose the opportunity or let it slip away, and she wants to finish off safely and quickly. Maybe she could not believe that the fact that she was so close to beating Steffi Graf. Maybe she wanted to do a perfect job and commit no errors. Hence, she begins to organize the skills consciously. She was desperate to win this title, that too defeating Steffi Graf. She may have forced herself to do it and choked. Choke effect causes errors, faults, mistakes, whatever you call them. A similar effect could have occurred in Natasha Zvereva's case also. She must have been too overwhelmed with the fact that she was facing Steffi Graf. There was pressure on her to beat Steffi from within and obviously from friends, well-wishers and supporters. It's going to be a sensational news. I will become so popular on beating Steffi Graf. These might have been the thoughts going through her head at that time. Too much pressure ruins thinking and motivation. It messes up concentration and confidence. Perhaps she had made too many game plans and strategies before the big game and still thinking about them even after the game progressed. The result of this whole melee in the mind was that she choked and looked like a novice. By next and the last incident of choking is about cricket. Team India lost to Sri Lanka in the finals of the 2014 ICC World Cup. This was held at Dhaka, Bangladesh. India's Yuvraj Singh was the hero of the inaugural 2007-2008 ICC World Cup, staged in South Africa, and next the 50-over World Cup in 2011 that happened in India. None can forget his 6 sixes in a single over of Stuart Broad. But on the 6th April 2014, at Dhaka in Bangladesh, facing Sri Lankans, things didn't look good for Yuvraj Singh. He was not at his best in the tournament till then, and he now walked to join Virat Kohli with India in a challenging situation to win the World Cup. Yuvraj is no stranger to pressure cooker situations. He has bailed out India many times in the past, but this day he was under choke attack, unable to put bat on ball. He could muster only 11 runs of 21 balls he faced, and that too at a crucial juncture. He consumed too many deliveries for less runs. All of us thought that at least he could have taken a single and allowed Virat Kohli to take strike. Even that was possible. He simply could not put bat on ball. All he had to do was to allow the confident informed Virat Kohli to do the rest. It was a day of mental meltdown for Yuvraj Singh. the dashing all-rounder from Punjab. India woke up to the shocking news this morning, the November 6, 2022. The news that South Africa was eliminated from the T20 World Cup. South Africa were playing the last group match against Netherlands. South Africa won the toss and put Netherlands to bat. Netherlands made a good 158 for 4 in the 20 overs, and in reply, South Africa fell short by 13 runs. South Africa were a better side and they were expected to win this contest, but they fell short. This proved once again that South Africa has been whipped at the post in the ICC trophy outings. At least in the previous outings, they were able to reach the knockout, but this time they have been eliminated at the group stage. Many times before, this has happened to them, and just when things were going their way, they lost their way and lost their matches, and this earned them the Choker Stag title, and they've also been called as the perennial chokers. Very unfortunate. At least for now, their dream of winning this coveted ICC trophy remains distant. This is one of the solid examples of good teams choking at an important stage of a tournament. Business? If you are sports persons, you may get into such situations in your career in future. Contact me to know how to handle pressure and avoid the risk of choking. My number is 861-899-6575 and my email ID is vishwanath.author@gmail.com. viswanath.author@gmail.com. Bye for now. We'll catch up with you soon with my next episode. Take care.